Yeah, I guess let's start out with Roadmap Roundup. I think that it's probably one of the bigger news elements of from yesterday. Actually, it came out like super late last night, actually. Let me size it so we can all see it. There we go. All right, so notable changes for May 31st, 2023. For release view, we have following cards being added to 319, the Mirai Fury MX. Those are just filling out what's supposed to be there. And then the following cards have been added to Alpha 320 column 4 on release view. Now, before we get into that, the one thing that I want to kind of say is that I don't know when 320 is going to be. This has been a very weird year. My hope is, we're talking Evocati and PTU soon-ish, the next month or two. We're at least talking about it. So I think we have a few roadmap roundups still to come. But 320 is kind of looking a little bit light, perhaps. Let's take a quick look at that in terms of release view for 320. They do have 10 gameplay entries, right? We saw Ship Trespass in previous weeks. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger so it's in the right place. Consignment, and then it's all Arena Commander things, which I think rightfully are split up into a lot of cards to make 320 look bigger than it actually is. Okay? I think this is definitely a little bit of a strategy here that's not going to work in their favor, and again, just makes them look pretty stupid, right? I think they're padding 320 when 320 is not going to be a very good or big update, I should say, because it could very well be a good update, because it could build off of all the things that they did in 319. Obviously, we haven't seen, like I'm seeing in chat, there's no cargo stuff on 320, which the expectation is we're going to see 32 SCU containers and smaller. We're going to see ship tractor beams, right? So there's things that are obviously missing from this update that there's really no need to pad, right? Freight element, you add those things in, there's such major features that the idea of making all these cards for Arena Commander may be a little dumb, but it is what it is. So let's go back to the actual roadmap update. But I did see things like, where are master modes? Where's EVA? Where's all those things? There's still an opportunity for those things to come, but they did say the end of the year. My expectations are all of those things would be coming into 321. Because I don't believe there's going to be a 4.0 this year. I think anybody who does is just huffing on copium, right? I just don't buy that we're going to have a 4.0 this year. So for 321, I sort of expect to see things like EVA tier Squadron 42, mantling tier Squadron 42, and maybe new star map and things like that, right? At the end of the year. I don't think it's going to be a very exciting patch. I think they're going to sell them as what I would love to see is maybe a polish patch at the end of that year, but they usually try to do something big, like they did with PES, and it kind of blew up in their face. So anyway, let's go into the Arena Commander stuff that is split into a lot of cards, but they do have to explain these things. So there is a big update here. So it makes them look like they're padding, but they may not want to because everything is a little bit different, right? Arena Commander front end update. We saw this on ISC. I don't think there's a need to dive into that too much. They've talked about new racetracks quite a bit. So all the racetracks that are in the game, they have pulled out and made them in Arena Commander. Don't know how this works. Hopefully it is not we pulled the whole planet and you can only play in this place. I really hope that they made a nice, smooth, small experience that doesn't render any planets or anything like that. That would be great, but I doubt that that's the case. As I'm pretty sure it's the reason we don't have Theaters of War. Icebreaker from Euterpe, Miner's Lament, Snake Pit, Yadar Valley as some of the first persistent universe locations entering an Arena Commander alongside the Holloran Circuit, a brand new racetrack on the New Horizons Speedway. That's the one that they really liked when making, not Old Vanderval, but one of the other ones, right? New Horizons Speedway rework. There's 3 Murray Cup racetracks. They added that third one. That's in the Ellis system. And then a new dogfighting map, Jericho Station. I think this is pretty cool because isn't Jericho Station where we do Xenothreat, right? So to have that there, I wonder what they're doing with that. That's pretty cool. And then they say Arena Commander. I think this is sort of confusing because they are separate games, even though Arena Commander seems... I would have used electronic access. Maybe they're not allowed to use that anymore. They're doing stuff for Star Marine as well. So new map, Echo 11. New map, Security Post Correa, which is really cool. New map, Winter Circle, which is an atmospheric dogfighting map. So they kind of hinted at this a while ago, but now we have a name. And above the beautiful planet Green, the third planet of the Ellis system. So new planet as well. And all that. So I think that's very cool. The thing for me, I'm most excited, Security Post Correa. And honestly, the actual exciting thing is this. Arena Commander experimental game modes. This is where they get to test things. This is where they get to try out weapon testing, FPS weapon testing, hopefully armor testing, all these things. I think this is the best thing. Every patch, trying new things, getting stupid, throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks, what works, right? So that's probably the most exciting thing. I think that that's great. My second most exciting thing is Security Post Correa. I do like to play at it, and what I think it will turn into is Security Post Correa is okay, but it has its flaws. And it is meant to be this battleground in the Stanton system, right? And I'm not sure how well it succeeds at that yet. And I would love to see them gather data, see things, and improve Security Post Correa over time, however long that might take. So pretty cool. After reading, you can kind of see that they sort of do need to split out all of these things, and that's why they're probably separate cards. Because when you really think about it, they don't really need to pad anything if what we think is coming is actually going to be there, which is improvements to cargo and all those other things. Those are massive features that Arena Commander is going to kind of just fall to the wayside, right? In that case, it's not really that big of a deal. So yeah, that's all I really have on the roadmap, though. Mostly Arena Commander things. I saw a lot of people say, why Arena Commander lull? I think the experimental game mode, bringing actual locations from the game into Arena Commander and Star Marine are mega important for it to actually be a tool. Without it being that, you can't practice what you would want to do in the PU. Now you can, right? I think everything has been so disconnected up to this point. Connecting them is the key. So racing, it's mostly racing stuff, and I know a lot of people are probably getting a little bit tired of racing, but if you really look at it, fingers crossed we start seeing improvements to FPS gameplay, because it is terrible, right? Fingers crossed we start getting improvements to flight stuff, because it's still terrible. So that's sort of my hopes for this. So I remain hopeful, but I also have been around long enough to know to just not and see what happens, you know?